The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and/or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! TV party tonight! We're firing up the TV party pots tonight! Alright! 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 Screens light up, brains shut down, talking trash about the best shows in town. No homework, no disguise, just hot takes on the studio line. Lock in, hit play, let the noise begin. Lock in another episode, another spin. No ratings, no mercy, no skipping the commercials of culture. TV party tonight. TV party tonight. Same screen, same fight, same damn podcast tonight. All right.
Okay, I actually had no idea that Mark got us a new theme song or a new logo. That kind of took me by surprise.
Yep, same here.
Not to mention that thing is 47 seconds long. I think we need to trim down just a tiny, tiny bit.
Just like a three or four note bass line, and then 2 seconds we're into the show.
Okay. Okay, well, that might be a little short. Okay, let's get back on track, shall we? Hello. Good evening and welcome to You Heard It TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, Alexis Hejna. Joining me, he has been with me for the last several weeks. I know he is just aching to get the hell away from me, Mr. Jesse Starcher.
Oh my goodness. This has been a wonderful, wonderful time that I've had discussing one of my favorite shows. And I'm so glad that you're the one that came up with the idea to do so. So I do not want to go anywhere. Nowhere. I wish there was a 6th season that we could talk about. So we're just going to have to start scrounging for other things, I guess. Stranger things, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll be talking about that 6th season here in a little bit, because also joining us, we covered 4 seasons and a graphic novel, and now we got someone new who wanted to come join us, Mr. Chris Armstrong, coming to us from the void, apparently, since we don't have a video.
Nobody wants to see that, but thanks for having me.
Of course, always happy to have someone on. And yes, like Jesse said, we are talking about the final season of Stranger Things. This is a show 9.5 years in the running. It started in 2016. It just ended with 3 parts broken up on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Eve. You can't say the Duffer Brothers and Netflix don't have a penchant for the dramatic.
For sure.
But yes, this first aired on the last of this season aired on Thanksgiving 2025, picking up right after the end of season 4. Hawkins, Indiana is in military lockdown and quarantine. Elle has gone back into hiding, and the crew have only one mission in mind, and that is they need to destroy Vecna once and for all. This is no more of the let's just see what happens. This is no more of a hey, something unusual happened. We need to investigate it. This time the team is united. They know what to do. They don't have a plan per se. They have a plan to make a plan, but they're all in communication. They all know what to do, and they are on their way. We got Robin running things now with the Squawk, the local radio station, giving clues to our team whenever Murray sneaks in with contraband. Murray using the Dan Aykroyd's character's name from Spies Like Us.
Oh, is that really? Oh, I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Stranger Things before, get ready for all the references.
Nice.
This show just sprinkles them in like crazy. So yeah, we got the older kids running the radio show, Murray running contraband and them using the radio station by playing Upside Down for Eternity whenever it's time to alert about a crawl happening, which is when they're going to try to enter into the Upside Down and track down Vecna and figure out how to take him down. And going on the side of this, we've got a new development because Mike's little sister Holly has apparently made a new friend, an imaginary friend, imaginary, the world's biggest quotation marks, named Mr. Whatsit. If you read A Wrinkle in Time in school, immediately you had a red flag go up because you know what that means. It doesn't take too long to find out that's not an imaginary friend. That's Henry Creel.
Yeah. Not a good dude to be hanging out with, imaginary or not.
Is Mr. Whatsit, so that's a character from A Wrinkle in Time? But
Yes.
Good guys, or I've never read the book. So.
Me either.
It is Miss Whatsit in the book. She is a good character. Jesse, you're familiar with the running joke from the movie Wrinkle in Time about Reese Witherspoon turning into romaine lettuce?
Yes, I do know
Reese
that.
Reese Witherspoon is Miss Whatsit.
Okay, all right then. Got it.
When all else fails, just find another meme from this show. So, like sooner or later, someone has made fun of it. Yes, Miss Whatsit is a celestial being in the book who is helping our main characters, specifically a girl named Meg, who is trying to find her father, who has been displaced into another dimension. That's the short, easy way to say it. I will say, actually, that's one of my favorite things about this season is that we've always used D&D as our allegory for what is going on with the upside down and the other dimension. That's how the kids rationalize what is going on. Now, Holly, not yet anyway, is not a D&D player, but she has been reading Wrinkle in Time, and that's what we end up using as her way to understand what's going on.
Right.
It's not the upside down. It's Camazot. Yeah, that's the name of the alternative dimension from the book. So kind of a fun way to say it's like, well, maybe we're not into the D&D thing anymore, but this is how another generation would probably try to understand things like that. So very clever writing.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think a lot of what I was getting ready for and really wanted to know about, I mean, where we ended with season 4 was pretty much, I mean, it was crazy because the earth essentially fractures into 4 sections. Is that how that works? I can't remember. Like it basically has a big cross section of Hawkins. And I remember, watching just that huge gulf just open throughout Hawkins. I was like, okay, well, how are we going to start things? And of course, when we started getting our trailer drops, life in Hawkins has changed a little bit. It now the military's present. They're under quarantine, and you're kind of wondering like how society or how this town is continuing with the fact that they have a military presence above, and these kids know that Vecna is below, and there's a breach that may possibly happen. So that was kind of like what I was really excited to kind of learn about, like how these characters are now going to deal with the fact that this is on a much wider scale. And it's almost like, the town just kind of tries to keep going on about its day. We open things up. I think everybody's staying at the Wheelers. Like everybody's at the Wheelers, and Ted's about had enough of their crap. Ted is like, how much longer do we have to put up with these people? But yeah, again, that kind of signifies the change.
We're a year and a half after season 4, right? That's the time.
Has it been a full year and a half? Is that the time jump?
I think it was 18, or maybe I'm thinking of the.
I know it's 18 months at the end. At the end, we definitely do an 18-month jump to where they graduate. But at the beginning, I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, the 19 months after the Rift incident. It says,
wow.
Oh, it is. It's 9. Yeah, according to Wikipedia, this starts 19 months, and you have to remember, Joyce, Will, and Jonathan had moved to California in season 4. They came back to deal with all this, so they don't have a house per se. I don't think Joyce really has a job. I'm assuming that when you're. Yeah, so I'm assuming when you're in the middle of a military quarantine, most jobs have a hiring freeze.
Yeah, or might be a bit of an unemployment line.
So yeah, they probably didn't have really anywhere else to go.
Right. Chris, well, I mean, on your end there, I know we just bring you in here on season 5. So you've got season 1 through 4 under your belt to kind of like get yourself ready for season 5. So were you excited? Were you chomping at the bit to get to season 5? And what were your thoughts on the way season 4 ended? Just lay it all out there for us.
Yeah, I really liked all 4 seasons going into this one, and the problem I had with the ending of season 4 is it's the first one that had like a kind of a cliffhanger where it ends with like this ominous music and like the clouds coming over. Like you don't really know what's happening at the end of season 4, like that last, half 30 seconds or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get to this season, we just jump ahead and the military is there and everything. But like the ending of season 4 was kind of a downer in that it just didn't give you much to go on as far as where the direction of the series was going to go. But I think we all knew it was going to be just one more season. So, but yeah, I've liked the show all throughout its run. So I was really excited to get the final season. And I thought the rollout for it, like Alexis mentioned earlier, with doing the 3 holidays basically for the 3 segments they were rolling it out, that was like making it a big event was a really smart move and made it a little more special. Like it seems like this is the last if you want to use the term monoculture show, like the only thing I can think of, like since Walking Dead basically in its heyday, that was the last show I remember that like everybody was kind of watching, like Game of Thrones a little bit maybe, but I knew a lot of people that didn't watch Game of Thrones. Everybody was watching Walking Dead, and that's kind of how Stranger Things seems to be. Like it's like the last big show that everybody has kind of kept up with over the years. So yeah, I was pretty pumped for the last season to start up.
Yeah, this was the kind of show where you had a number of people writing on Facebook, "Damn it, quit spoiling this," because that we all had friends who just couldn't wait to do like lifetime updates on their Facebook or Twitter or whatever feeds. Just go, "Oh my God, did you see bloody?" So it's like you have to stay off of social media.
There is right. Okay. So I'm gonna fast forward just a little bit here. Thanksgiving night, or was it Thanksgiving night that it dropped? Right, the first part. Okay, all right. Because so Thanksgiving night wasn't too bad, because Kira was home and nobody had any plans. But I remember thinking to myself, we're going to get up Thanksgiving Day and watch all of this first volume. And then, we might be able to visit with some family or something. And then that's when I think Jordan told me, hey, this is the guy at the LCS. He's like, it doesn't come out till 8 p.m. I'm like, no, I got to wait all day. No.
No, I actually have to spend time with my family. I actually have to do Thanksgiving. I wanted to block everything out and just go watch TV all day.
Right. That was my plan. And then I was like, oh no, now I got to find something to do until 8. And then like, as far as like social media goes, so it wasn't too bad Thanksgiving. Christmas Day was not bad. What was horrible was New Year's Eve. And the only reason, again, that this was bad for me, was it New Year's Eve that it dropped or New Year's Day?
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. Okay. What was bad is I've got to watch this. This is an event for me and the family to watch, right? I've talked about that a lot on the last 4 seasons. Well, New Year's Eve hits and my 20-year-old daughter has a party to go to. And well, lo and behold, my 15-year-old son has the same thing going on. Not only that, Caleb watches that final episode with his buddies instead of with us.
Oh, no.
So I was like, okay, I gave him the go ahead and do it. And then he's like, I want to watch the finale with you guys. And now here's the thing. I'm like, dude, you cannot make one facial Like, you cannot move your face in a certain way. You can't look at me during the finale. I do not want to be subtextually spoiled in some way by how you look at me. So if you watch this finale, you are to be a statue. So at that point, dude was like, okay, so he came over and we all finally did get to watch the finale. But I wanted to throw that in there because social media, I could not get on there. And I'm so glad that I did, because as soon as I finished it on New Year's Day, the first post was something that was talking about something that happened in the finale. So, but boy, was that hard. It was really, really tough to do that. So I know I jumped ahead, Alexis. I'm sorry, but if I don't say it now, I'm going to forget.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So the first episode, though, really does show a lot about, like, so where everyone is, what's going on, and just how much what happened last season affected them. One of the big things we talked about this last season was about the death of Eddie Munson. And yeah, my theory about Kaz the vampire was wrong.
A lot
Damn
of
it.
people were a little upset. It was days before that first episode of season 5 hits, and my sons are running around saying Eddie's not dead. Eddie's not dead. And I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't give any one way or the other, as a preference. I admit I hated the fact that Eddie died, but I feel like bringing him back would have probably lessened how that felt and how that hit. So yes, I don't mind you that theory being wrong and Eddie actually not being a part of this season.
Chris, what did you think about, I mean, we talked on the last season that there was a theory that Eddie could come back if you parallel his death to the resurrection of a character in the Vecna campaign called Kaz, who was resurrected as a vampire and was in the end the one who kills Vecna. And a lot of people thought that was how they would bring Eddie back, considering that he was killed by the Demobats, as people called them. And, he had bat tattoos. It was just like, oh my God, it's laid out there. But no, he did. Well, what did you think? Were you hoping that Eddie would be brought back, or do you think it's good they just kept him dead?
I did think that was a cool theory. I don't know anything about D&D outside of what I've learned through Stranger Things, basically. But yeah, I thought that was a cool theory. I did expect a few times, like when Holly was talking to the imaginary friend, I thought, well, maybe that's Eddie, because I was kind of halfway expecting him to come back just because of how popular he was. And then when she was going to the cave, when she got the note in the mailbox, I thought, well, maybe that's Eddie. Like, just because I was half expecting him to show up, just because the fan demand was kind of there for it, and I thought they might just try to bring him back because of his popularity. But in the end, I am kind of glad that he had his sacrifice in season 4, and that stayed sort of solid. But I was kind of expecting him to show up at some point in this last season.
Yeah, Joseph, the fan demand for Joseph Quinn was just insane. We talked about this when we reviewed season 4, about how his popularity skyrocketed. He's now a freaking member of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's he's the Human Torch, and he is a fantastic actor. Hell, when I saw you'd been cast in the Fantastic Four, I'm like, hell yeah, perfect casting.
Yeah.
But I will say, watching this season, I am kind of glad that they didn't do it, because instead of bringing him back, they chose instead to use the trauma of his death to focus on the development of Dustin and Steve's friendship, which was really powerful. Steve clearly has a bit of survivor's guilt. He told them, don't be heroes. He said, don't do anything stupid. And Dustin is it's so determined to keep the honor of Eddie's name alive, to the point that he goes to his graveyard and someone's written "burn in hell." Side note, nice Carrie reference. And what he thinks is pain, turns out, no, it's blood. Side note, another awesome reference, naming the snake Jake the Snake.
Nice.
Yeah, that was just one of the few references I wrote down, like, cute. that he's still wearing the Hellfire Club shirt, even though Eddie got blamed. Eddie has pretty much become the pariah. He was the one who was blamed for everything. There was no way to prove that he wasn't responsible for what happened. The town probably still thinks that, the Hellfire Club was a bunch of Satanists, and they probably think that the cracks forming were part of some cult activity that Eddie orchestrated.
Yeah. And probably think he's still alive because, Dustin told his uncle that he died, but I don't think that's common. Probably not common knowledge.
Right.
He was just disappeared, like a lot of other people when the rift formed or whatever.
Well, he does have a gravestone, but it wouldn't surprise me if a lot.
Right.
But it wouldn't surprise me if some people say, "Oh, that's just a cover. He's not actually dead." But it wouldn't surprise me if his uncle had that gravestone made for him, and everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, sure, whatever."
Yeah.
The Dustin Steve relationship was interesting. By the time it got towards the end, I was just kind of like, just make up already.
Right, dude.
Dustin was such a great character throughout the whole series, and it was just kind of like watching somebody you really like just in pain the whole time.
Right, dude.
Leading up to the finale, and it was impactful, but it was still kind of just like, stuff that you don't want to. I didn't want to see it so much, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so I've got my list here of like what worked for me and what didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
That made it on the list, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, my goodness, these two guys were like the best of friends. As that relationship grew throughout like season 2, I think, and season 3, these two guys are great friends. And then, just like you said, I understand that Dustin was definitely going through some stuff, and I think that he was, reacting and acting out, and because of how hurt he was. But yeah, the Dustin and Steve like tension, it got a little grating for me, but it wasn't much to where I was like, okay, I'm done watching the show. It was just like, it was good to see though at the end when they finally, when that final, was it the final trailer was like, you die, I die.
You die, I die. Oh my God. The scene of him crying, just like, I can't lose another friend. I can't go through this again.
Right.
It so hard. And at that was the moment where I said, okay, fine. Eddie can stay dead. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, it worked on certain levels. But it did get a little grating for me, but I think it was earned.
Definitely. So we also have Holly gets her own little designation in the D&D group. She's a cleric. Holly the heroic. Which is just freaking adorable. And I love that when she goes into the Upside Down, she's in that fake world that Henry has created for her. She grabs a cloak, so she actually looks like the figure that Mike has painted for her.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I will say, I think my only complaint about Holly, and I credit part of this to this double strike, because season 5 the making of season 5 got put on hiatus during the double writer and actor strike.
Okay.
So they had to be very creative with how they were filming this. The girl playing Holly is supposed to be 9 or 10 years old, but when she's in the Upside Down in that hallucination, she looks like she's at least 14.
Right. She looks age. Yeah. That's going to be a common theme with these actors and actresses in this show.
Yeah. Some people also pointed out, apparently they did film those scenes last because Sadie Sink, who plays Max, you can tell she looks older when she's in the same fantasy as opposed to when she wakes back up in the hospital.
I noticed that too. I was like, I'm the dumb idiot that's going, well, did they do something? Maybe it's her hair. Maybe that's why she looks older. I don't know. But yeah, I did notice that for sure. Speaking of, the kids, gosh, can we talk about dipshit Derek real quick?
Yeah, who would have thought that would have been the kid to show some freaking braids by the end of this?
So I don't know if I told you this or not. I can't remember if I mentioned this when we were talking TMNT Stranger Things. But anyway, so I'm driving either my daughter back from college or something. She's in the car with me, and she starts laughing really loud. And I'm like, what are you laughing at? And she's showing promo pictures that the Stranger Things like Instagram or something had shared. And they shared a picture of Dustin. And like nobody had a clue who this kid was. Like this has not been, or Dustin. I said Dustin.
Yeah, you mean Derek? Yeah, I know who you meant.
Okay, Derek. They share a picture of Derek, so nobody knows who Derek is at this point. Like this is well before the first episode airs, and so people are like, "Who the hell is this?" And the comments were not kind, guys. I'm just going to tell you that, of course, society reared its ugly head and decided to name this guy all sorts of things, which is funny because not any of them that I remember came close to actually dipshit Derek. But regardless, he came out. Seeing him show up, I think he's briefly shows up for a second spinning the merry-go-round that Holly is on. And everybody's like, get away, Derek.
Yeah, he's trying to make her puke by spinning it faster than she wants to go.
Right. That guy.
Every kid, we all had new kids like that when we were that age.
But I will say, I mean, he carried a lot of gravitas this season, a lot more than I thought he was going to. So.
What a turnaround from the first couple episodes to
yeah, no kidding.
Yes, starting off as just this annoying, spoiled, rotten bully. If you see his room alone, you know this kid is spoiled rotten.
Gone are the days of eat my shorts. Long live suck my
fat one.
Suck my fat one.
Did you see Jimmy Fallon apparently dressed up like Derek when Jamie Campbell Bower showed up on the show, and he actually shouted that to him?
Oh my gosh. No, I didn't know that happened. Gosh.
Speaking of which, Jamie Campbell Bower was absolutely breathtaking, his performance in this. I still can't believe that the Vecna voice is not digitally altered or anything. He can do it. No, because when he was on Jimmy Fallon, they actually had him read popular phrases in the Vecna voice. They just handed him a microphone, said, "Here, go to town," and he is just reading common little pop culture catchphrases with that deep voice. Wow. And it's just like there is no alteration. He can do that himself.
Yeah, I will say that I was very impressed. I don't. Was he in other things that I just didn't know about?
Oh, he's been in a ton of stuff. Okay, so he was in Sweeney Todd. He played Anthony. He's an amazing singer. He was really good in that.
I remember you saying that.
He was in the Twilight movies. He was a member of that vampire council that Michael Sheen and Dakota Fanning were on.
Okay.
Let's see. He had a brief role in one of the Harry Potter movies. He's been in a couple of other things that I can't remember, but yeah, he's done a handful of other things.
Well, I was definitely impressed. Working with all that makeup. I don't know if you guys sat down and watched the final, what do they call it? The Final Adventure or something like that. The documentary that Netflix. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyway, just watching him kind of get into the character and all the stuff that he had to do in order to emote under the makeup. And I mean, that takes a pretty superb actor. So I was very impressed. Vecna was definitely still terrifying, just like he was in season 4 for me. Got any thoughts on Vecna Armstrong?
Yeah, he's great. It was interesting that they used him in season 4 as the big villain, and he was the first one that it seemed like that kind of carried over. I guess just the Mind Flayer was the villain in the first 3 seasons, and then you find out, in this, in the finale that they've been kind of like co-lead villains throughout the whole time together, in a symbiotic type relationship. Yeah, he's great. The design's really cool. They gave him, I guess they're calling him Swole Vecna on the line now.
Yeah, someone said they gave him a glam up because now he's got the spikes actually coming out of his shoulders. Again, like we mentioned this in the season 4 review, practical makeup. They added a little CGI so you could see some of the vines moving on his body, but for the most part, that is practical makeup.
Yeah. Always preferred, in my opinion.
Agreed, absolutely. One thing I did want to bring, I want to ask you guys this is, so a lot of the season, a lot of the backstory on Henry, they actually tied it into that show that they're doing. I don't know if it's on Broadway or off Broadway, but it's a big Stranger Things prequel. It's about how Henry basically got his powers. You learn more about how Dr. Brenner's father was the one who was actually searching for the Upside Down, and that's how the scientist who had that piece of the Mind Flayer that Henry came across. That's how he had it.
Okay.
And yeah, the idea that it was Henry's blood that was being transfused into these pregnant women, and that's how the kids got their powers. That's how Elle got her powers. You know, it wasn't some random occurrence that gave all of these kids psychic abilities. It was all Henry's blood. And that's why Dr. K wants 11. They want 11's blood because they tried it with Kali. We'll get back to her in a second. And didn't work. So it's like, okay, Elle is the strongest. She clearly got the most of the powers transferred from Henry. So let's use her blood. She just wants Elle so they can farm out more soldiers, basically. Right. Henry's blood is the new super soldier formula.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed that before the final season they didn't, which I think the play is fairly recent, but I would think they would have put that on Netflix by now, like a recording of it or something.
Kind of like what they did with Hamilton.
Right. Yeah. I know that there's a documentary about the production on Netflix as well, but I haven't watched it. But yeah, I do want to check that out. I've heard that it's really cool, and they do a lot of really cool things with the production. So I'm hoping that eventually it'll pop up on Netflix or something. But it's kind of annoying that like key story details are hidden away in something that only a few thousand people probably have seen at this point.
Right. Yeah, my daughter was the first one to tell me about that. Shortly after we finished the final episode, she was telling me about the play being canon, and I was like, "Well, I didn't even know it existed." But yeah, I understand it's a prequel. Supposedly, she had some issues with that, and I mean, I don't think you can escape any criticism about this season if you're anywhere online. But man, she was talking about there were some, I don't want to call it inaccuracies, but maybe there's some inconsistencies or something that happens in the play compared to what we get in the show, which, you know, I can't judge because I haven't seen it, so I don't know for sure. But
I've heard the same. Like I think Joyce and Hopper are in high school in the play.
Yes.
A lot of them are. Karen Wheeler is in high school during that play. It's the adopted sister of Sean Astin's character is part of that. I guess my concern is that, do you feel that we still got enough details from the show that how do I put this? Did it feel like we still were able to follow everything, or did it suddenly turn into, oh great, we should have watched the play so we could follow up a la what Marvel does?
I think that they give us enough. I don't think that people who don't even know the play exists are going to necessarily be lost or anything.
I think people who,
to me, the fact that I know there's more story out there that they're hiding away that I haven't been able to access yet.
Right. Yeah, I think people who watch the play might be annoyed about some of the stuff that happens in it after they watch Stranger Things. But yeah, I'm definitely not like, you know, I'm right there in the same camp. I don't think that it was absolutely necessary that we need to know it. The seasons were just fine without it, but yeah. All right, what's next? What's next on your list?
Let's see here. Bird in Hell on Eddie's Tune. Nice reference to Carrie. Yep, still playing Kate Bush for Max.
Yeah, that's something else. You know, he's still sitting there. You know, going to her bedside. You know, devoted, trying to get her to come back, and you know,
getting sick of the song. But hey, he's with it.
I'm sure he is. Got a couple. He has got a haircut, by the way. Lucas has a haircut. He had it, I think, last season too, didn't he? And boy, when we hit the finale and we're at graduation and he finally cuts his hair, I think people were cheering in my house for some reason. I don't know why, but that was some straight 80s like kid and play stuff.
Can we give Karen her flowers for her?
Oh,
her
Karen Wheeler.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Oh my. Way to mom up, Karen Wheeler. Holy cow.
And Ted tried, he
I screamed. Okay, so I was talking about the Walk 'em Down Wheelers or Walk 'em Down Wheeler last time we had a discussion. I think this was on TMNT Stranger Things. But anyway, I didn't realize it ran in the family. Because it runs in the family. These people, Ted getting up with the golf club, and I was like, he's got enough balls on him too. I was very, very impressed. So yes, we can give Karen her flowers for sure. But her breaking the bottle, staring down the Demogorgon, just going to stab it in its face, and
totally channeling Ellen Ripley.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say I'm glad you didn't say it out loud, but if you did not hear Sigourney Weaver saying "Get away from her, you bitch," in the back of your subconscious.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That was an intense moment, because we're going into a Stranger Things season where you are expecting people to die.
Yeah,
it
almost seemed like Karen or Murray, like some of characters people like but aren't like central, to the party. I guess like those might be the ones that kick the bucket,
right?
in the finale, or in the final season. But what do you guys think about, like, obviously anybody that's listening to this already seen the finale, the fact that there weren't really nobody died, basically, unless you have questions about 11.
And we will get to that. Don't worry, we're going to talk about the ending and the fans' reaction to that here before too long. I have to admit, I was a little shocked. So many people were betting on which characters were going to die. Hell, in the final episode, when the tower starts to fall and Steve nearly goes over it, I'm sitting on my couch, and as he starts to fall over, I actually dug my fingers into the side of the couch. I was just like that is fine. And they cut to Jonathan Ketchum. I'm like, okay, release.
It's
okay.
You can relax
relax your hands. Don't worry about the upholstery.
One of the things that I've said throughout watching this whole thing and doing these podcasts, these guys know how to subvert expectations. And I think because everybody expected someone to die, they were like, we're going to subvert that expectation and no one's going to die. And that's the way I think they went into this, because I was trying to tell that to the kids. I was like, yeah, everybody was counting on somebody to die this whole season, and the way that they walked away is that no one was harmed. Ted, who I thought was dead, was sitting there by Karen's side during the graduation. So I mean, I think it was by design, and I liked it. I personally did, because I think that it subverts that expectation. I like how they do that. They had killed off somebody so important every single, I don't know, did they kill somebody off in the first season? Well, Barb. I mean, Barb.
Yeah.
Dude, hashtag justice for Barb.
But as far as Bob Newby, Eddie, and even Billy goes, Barb's probably number 4 down there on that list. But we were all waiting for number 5, and it didn't happen. And I think, again, I think that was a good move, in my opinion.
Yeah, unless you count Kali. And let's go ahead and talk about it. Duffers openly said that they wanted to bring back the character that everyone said was completely useless. And they said flat out, we have to bring her back, because if we don't, everyone's just going to assume that episode was a mistake. We have to prove there's a reason we wrote it. So they break in and they find out that we have they've set up a freaking base in the Upside Down. And Hop and Elle break in, and Hop thinks he's going to be doing it. He thinks that they're going to find Vecna and he's going to pull a suicide bomb. And it turns out, oh, that's not Vecna. That's the annoying girl from season 2 who taught Elle the word bitchin'.
I supported their excursion in season 2 to bring Kali in as a character. And there were moments throughout this final season where I was figuring things out, and I would yell it out, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I would yell things out like, it's not going to be Vecna. I know who it is. And I knew it was going to be Callie like the split second before they showed. Because as soon as you see Hop like walk out and he didn't blow anything up, you're like, what could be in there that could make him go, there's nothing in there that's worth killing? Well, to some people, that's worth killing. And that is, I was like, oh, it's going to be Callie. I was like that when Will figured out he was seeing stuff through Holly's eyes. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, I caught it like right a second before then. But Chris, I mean, what did you think of the character of Callie? Did you like her when they did that in season 2, or were you against it?
Season 2 is my favorite of the seasons.
Interesting.
But even still, that episode is not very good.
Oh, yeah, it got bombed. Like, it is not popular.
And I don't have I don't dislike the character or anything. That episode just seemed like you're getting away from all the characters that I like the most in this show for a full episode, to show these characters that are just here for this and then they're gone. Bringing her back was fine. I kind of assumed at some point in this season they were going to at least reference those characters. And then I kind of completely forgot about them until she showed up in that room. I mean, it's cool that they brought it back just to make it that episode relevant. But yeah, I don't have any, like, the fact that she died did not give me any pause. Really.
There wasn't a lot of sympathy. Plus,
it sucks for Elle because it's her friend or everything. But.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of sympathy out there, I think, for Callie. And I mean, there was also a lot of mistrust, and it wasn't like she was planning on, things ending happily for them. Her plan was to kill both of them to die in
yeah, they had a suicide pact going.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, unfortunately, I do think Kali was right. I think she was right. Not necessarily about the suicide pact, but she says flat out, if we get out of here, we're going to get hunted down. It's like, even if Dr. K is killed, someone is going to be there to take up the mantle. The minute Brenner was gone, K rushed in. It's like, it is so naive to think that somebody else isn't waiting in the wings, that the minute Dr. K passes on, they're going to go in and continue the research. They're going to try to weaponize these demigorgons to fight the Russians. They openly say at one point, it's like we should have had these monsters in Moscow killing Soviets or killing commies instead of Americans.
Right.
And they were going to continue trying to harvest Elle and Kali's blood and trying to make more of their own little super soldiers. And I think she is right. I think she said flat, like, we are never going to be safe. They are never going to stop looking for us. There's only one way we end this. There's only one way to end the violence cycle. I see where she's coming from 100%.
Yeah. We learn, is it here that we learn, or is it the next episode or the next volume, I guess, where we learn what the Upside Down is?
That is in the next. So part 1 was Thanksgiving, part 2 was Christmas, the finale was New Year's Eve. So it was Christmas when we actually learned. Yeah, the Upside Down is not technically the other dimension. It's a wormhole. It's a passage to the other dimension. And I actually wrote down here. Where did I write it down? Oh God, I'm gonna need to take notes on this, aren't I?
Well, okay, so that brings up, and we've got to go back to one moment before this next volume here in a second, but I do want to just kind of talk real quick about the demystifying of what the Upside Down is. I'll start with you, Chris. I mean, do you think that the fact that we're kind of shedding the mystery on what the Upside Down is affects, possibly your enjoyment of the show in any way?
No, not at all. I thought that was a really cool twist to throw in the 11th hour. I do like. I think we talked about this maybe when we recorded another episode. I think it was actually before the finale had aired. But anyway, this season and maybe even the fourth season I like less than the earlier season, just because I feel like the show gets so big and epic, it loses some of the charm of the earlier seasons for me. Even though I still like it, I liked this season a lot. I like the fourth season, which is basically just like Stranger Things, the horror movie.
Right.
But yeah, that's sort of just an extension of the show just getting bigger and bigger. I do think that that image of the car flying through out of the bridge, and
Side note, rest in peace, Steve's car.
That's a fantastic shot, and that's just I thought that was a cool element, making the Upside Down the bridge to this other world and everything. But it does kind of go back to one of the things I don't like so much about these later seasons, is it just feels so much different from the way the show started. When this season opens up, they're in quarantine, their whole world basically revolves around these missions, following the military into the Upside Down. And it just seems like,
it isn't small town horror anymore.
It just feels like their world has become something so unlike what reality is for regular people. And it's hard to picture yourself in that kind of situation. Again, I still like it. I still think it's really well done and entertaining and everything. And I love the characters, so it doesn't bother me that much. But anyway, yeah. To answer your question, yes, I thought that was cool that the Upside Down was just a bridge to the other world.
All right, cool.
I would say I really liked it because that has been the question that's been on the fans' minds ever since the beginning. What is the Upside Down? We all wanted to know, okay, so we all thought 11 created the Upside Down. We thought she opened it and she somehow made a mirror reflection of Hawkins, to which we all said, well, how could she make a mirror reflection of Hawkins when she spent almost her whole life in that lab? She couldn't know, the Upside Down is literally the mirror reflection. You have all of the houses. You have everything in the houses. It is their reality. How could she know how to do that? Is that just an instinct of hers? How could that have been created? And you got to build on these seasons. We got to keep going bigger. Not to mention, this was something that I was confused about because we saw in season 4 when Henry got banished to what we now know as the Abyss, and you see the yellow skies and everything. I was like, okay, so how does that turn into the Upside Down? So then I thought, wait, did Henry create the Upside Down? So I really liked that this was how they explained everything, and we got it all figured out. And not to mention, I thought it was a really good way to explain what Vecna's plan was. It was never about the Upside Down. It was about the Abyss.
Can you guys shed some light on one of my biggest criticisms of trying to figure out what the heck happened?
Probably.
Do your best. Maybe no, and trust me, it is very much something. I didn't have the luxury of watching this a second time, much like I did to prepare for seasons 1 through 4, and take notes. But okay, so we know it's in season 4 where it's explained how 11 essentially just wiped Henry Creel off the face of the planet and threw him into the Upside Down slash of the Abyss.
The Abyss.
Okay. All right. And then our finale, or at least as we close in on the finale, we learn that the Mind Flayer found him first.
There was a piece of the Mind Flayer that scientist had, that he had gotten, that apparently Dr. Brenner's father's team had gotten from the Abyss. This is apparently explained more in the play.
Okay.
Henry found it. Henry found it, killed the scientist because the scientist shot him. So
Right.
it's like, I'm sorry. Everyone's like, was that Henry's first killing? He got freaking shot. I'm not gonna criticize this kid for killing the scientist for that. He opens the briefcase and there's the piece of the mind flayer, and it affects Henry, and that's how Henry gets his powers.
Okay. So, is it just dumb luck, or did 11 have any influence in all as to where she threw Henry when she wiped him off the face of the earth? Because he ended up in the most convenient place, and that was where the mind flayer was. Which, again, I don't know if that's explained, but or maybe she didn't have a role in it at all. But I feel like that was one of the things where I came out of this going, that's the one thing that I could maybe ask and not have an answer for unless I go back and rewatch it again, and maybe I missed it. But if you guys caught, is it something that I'm onto, or was it easily explained at some point I missed?
If there was some reason, I couldn't find it. I'm assuming it was just plot convenience. Maybe there is something about the part of the mind flare that was in Henry pulled him partially into the dimension. Maybe there is a link to it because of Elle's connection to the abyss, and she's got Henry's blood in her. I have no idea if there is something that was explained, but there's a million little theories that could explain. And I'm saying, you know what? Pick one.
Well, I'm
sure any of those theories would work.
When a lot of the criticism got levied once this final season ended, a lot of what I was finally resigned myself to is, did I have fun? And I did. So it wasn't like I was looking for holes in everything, but that was like the one thing that kind of stuck out. But I think it also, kind of supports Chris's point about how things can get too big. And sometimes you're doing things and you may not forget about some of the continuity that happened before, or something that happened before. I really doubt that our production team didn't think this through. So it's a very good possibility. Like, it might've been something that was explained and just got cut because they were like, they don't need, this isn't necessary, and people aren't going to enjoy it anymore if we get this explanation. But anyway, let me take us back to the end of Volume 1 real quick, and then I will be done talking about Volume 1, unless you got some other things there. What was you going through your head, Alexis? I'll start with you. When Will and his eyes went white and he was picking Demogorgons apart and breaking them in half. Tell me, did you have theories? What was going on?
I didn't know if I had theories, but I do know I was jumping up and down on the couch. I was going, yes, fuck them up. I was so excited. I didn't know exactly what was going on. I didn't know, we see him wipe the blood from his nose like Elle does. I didn't know if he had somehow gotten maybe he had the same powers as her, especially since at this point I didn't know about Elle having Henry's blood.
Right.
So I didn't know if there was a chance, he had also gotten the powers or something. I didn't care. I just thought it was glorious to see that moment. It was just, that was the moment we were all waiting for. And it was amazing.
Will, I think I even may have criticized Will going through some of these seasons on this podcast about just, he was always kind of like the victim. He was always the guy that just never had any power. And then all of a sudden that ending happened. And I was right there with you. I was like, this makes sense. I mean, I don't know why he's got these powers, but him being one of the most powerful people or being able to do this makes sense for the narrative. In my opinion. Armstrong, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it was very cool. That was a cool sequence for sure. Like you said, Will is the character, especially out of the core 4 kids, original 4, that has always kind of gotten the short end. Like, he's barely in the first season. The second season, he's mostly just terrified because he's having the mind flare, inhabiting him and stuff. So it was cool to see him get to be more proactive. One of the complaints I've had about this series kind of from the beginning is like there's always a big problem. Something's about to go down. People are in danger. And then Elle shows up and puts her hands up and uses her powers, which isn't greatly cinematic. You're just like using telekinesis,
True.
or telekinesis. And now we've got 2 of them because now that's what Will's doing. But it was still cool, and it was still great for the character to have that moment and stuff. And the way he disposed of the Demogorgons in the manner that Vecna was killing the kids in the 4th season was a cool touch. So it was awesome. That was the episode Sorcerer that made a big impact immediately. Like it was like the highest rated episode on IMDb, like the night that it premiered and stuff. It's probably been review bombed at this point. That's the way it no longer is. But
we'll be talking about the review bombing here in a bit. There's a couple of topics on my notes here, but I wanted us to talk about the individual episodes first before we talk about the fan reactions to this.
Yeah,
because there is a lot to unpack.
I agree.
I did see people like, just the super misogynistic guy that I know on Facebook posting this meme about Karen using a wine bottle to hurt a Demogorgon and all these machine guns can't do anything to it. And I didn't even respond because who cares? But
I liked and shared the post.
It's established that like Pop cut one's arm off and head off in the last season. Like they're susceptible to like bladed weapons more so than projectiles. Like, that sounds like a nerdy thing, but it's like it makes sense to me.
That's interesting.
So that didn't bother me at all. Like, but yeah. Anyway,
what they made it work. They made it work in Dune. They can make it work here.
Sure. All right. I know I've derailed you probably, Alexis. You probably I probably took you all over your notes here. So I cede the floor back to you.
It's all right. Let's see here. That flesh wall looks like something from Cronenberg, which it does. Seriously, the minute I watched it, I was like, whoa, okay, body horror flashback. It reminded me a lot of the flesh golem that we talked about in season 3.
I was just thinking Ghostbusters too.
Also, very good. Episode 3. How the hell are they going to defend what they did to the turnbows in their house?
Oh my gosh. Dude, I'll tell you, there's a moment where Steve grabs a chainsaw and I was like, new weapon. He dropped the bat, or at least give Dustin the bat. You take the chainsaw and keep it the rest of the season.
Like, come on, go full Ash on it.
Please do. Instead, they cut the floor open, which was actually a really cool trap. The way that they did that, I thought that was all 3 or 4 of these episodes I really enjoyed in this first volume. And I think, we're building up. We got to figure out how to deal with a Demogorgon. We got to figure out how to try and get to Vecna. So it doesn't surprise me in the way that we ended that first volume, that it was, everybody was on edge and ready to get more of this. And as we get into volume 2, it's a different story. But I just feel like, episode 3, when, they trap the Demogorgon. I love watching the team work together. Is that the episode where the rift is closing and they have to go through the silo or something like that? I can't remember if that's when, because I think they're at the farm at that point. And in order to get to the Upside Down, anyway, that whole car scene where they've got to get over into the Upside Down and they end up gunning it. I thought that was great. That poor house. Yeah, they cut a huge hole in the floor. They took them hostage, threw them in a barn.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like that seriously. It was just like, okay, seriously. I know Derek is going to understand what's going on. How are you going to explain this to his parents and his sister? How are you going to explain? Because this is clearly a very uppity, upper class family, considering their house and how much they spoil the hell out of their kids.
Oh yeah.
And oh my God, who would have predicted Erica would become the badass that she does? She's a freaking genius. She's one of the smartest kids in Mr. Clark's class. We'll get back to him in a second. And that badass moment where she manages to get the sleeping drugs to everyone, and she pulls out the syringe and goes, "I told you to eat your pies." Like, whoa, this is the bratty little kid who was demanding free samples from Scoops Ahoy.
Oh, she was so annoying back then. I've softened on my criticism of Erica now, but my goodness, back then she was insufferable.
Well, I think that's to show just how great the show was at building the characters. We talked about this in season 1, how Steve could have very easily been written off as the most annoying douche on the planet. Hell, I think the Duffers actually said in the first draft he was supposed to be killed by the Demogorgon. He was going to be completely useless. But they did a rewrite, and it's like, nope, he goes back, he grabs the bat, and he became one of the most pivotal characters. And you have bratty little Erica Sinclair, who's been there annoying the hell out of Lucas and everyone, and now she is a pivotal character. She's a freaking science genius.
Oh yeah.
And she has no qualms about, kicking ass and taking names to help them out. What the scene with her and Mr. Clark later, it's like, this situation deserves cussing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the show's always been great at bringing in, like, every season we get new characters. Max comes in the second season, Robin and Erica in the third season. Probably somebody in the fourth season was Eddie, but he didn't stick around. But like, they're always bringing in new characters, so it keeps it fresh and get new interactions with different, matching people up differently and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Still, like I loved watching her go through that. And again, let's go ahead and talk about Mr. Clark, who finally gets brought into the loop. This guy has been at the kid's side through this entire series. He's the one who introduced them to the concept of parallel dimensions. He's the one who taught them how to make sensory deprivation tanks. He's the one that Joyce went to when her magnet stopped working. He's always been there. And it's like, oh my God, finally. I kind of wish they brought him in earlier. I think he could have been so helpful. And, it takes a little explaining, but he is on their side. He's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely a fan of that. I remember sitting there, I think it was at the beginning of the season, and I might have even said something last season too, but I was telling the kids, it's like, at some point, I just wish they would tell Mr. Clark what is going on and get him involved. And then my wish was fulfilled. And I was like, okay, yeah, I would have loved to have seen him earlier. So.
Yeah, to the fact that when they're doing the probes, he named them Voyagers.
That's Mr. Clark.
Yeah. Be careful. One of them's going to go into outer space and become an AI and interact with Kirk later.
Uh-oh.
Oh, come on. You know it. We were all thinking that reference.
The motion picture.
Yeah. Slow-mo, the motion picture.
Slow motion picture.
Sorry. That's the joke I've always had about the first Star Trek movie, because it's just like, okay, cut. Cut.
No.
Cut.
Nope.
Oh my God, that movie takes that movie is the pinnacle of horrible pacing. It's a good movie, but still just like, fast forward.
They made up with it with the Wrath. Well, it was tough, but I'm sure that Wrath of Khan definitely made up for it.
Yeah, what's the old phrase? We don't talk about the odd-numbered movies.
That's right. That is right.
Okay, before we jump into part 2, did anyone else have any other notes on part 1 they wanted to talk about?
I don't think I did. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I don't think I did either. We talked about Ted. Will's the sorcerer. I was kind of waiting for Nancy to kind of get her moment, and that's going to come, I think, here pretty soon. So yeah, I think we can move into volume 2 for sure.
I will say just the stuff with the military is not as strong throughout the whole season as the Vecna stuff. Them as like a secondary antagonist. It serves its purpose and everything. I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't. I can't remember the character's name, but and now I can't think of the actor's name either. From the previous seasons.
Are we talking Paul Reiser?
Paul Reiser, yes.
Okay, yeah.
I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get any references to him, or I'm assuming he's rotting away in a military prison or something.
Right.
But we don't ever find out. I felt like having him back would have maybe given me more reason to pay attention to the military stuff. Which
I think
it wouldn't surprise me if he got. There's a deleted scene somewhere of him being interviewed by Dr. K going, "Where's the girl?" He doesn't give it up. It's like, yeah, okay, throw him in prison.
Yeah.
Because I had no qualms that he would not turn over 11 or tell them anything. I really believe he would stand by Elle and the kids and all of them. Yeah. He's a good guy. Right. I know that's rare because you look at Paul Reiser and you're either thinking that one sitcom for the 90s or you're thinking him from Aliens and you think, oh, he's the evil bureaucrat.
Mm-hmm. I always think My Two Dads, but that's just me.
Oh, look out. Look at that reference. Stacy Keenan?
Sure.
He remembers Paul Reiser and My Two Dads, but does not remember Stacy Keenan.
See, my only reference to My Two Dads is a line from an episode of Pinky and the Brain. Well, look who it is. My two dads, Saget and Coulier. Please tell me he's Saget. Somehow it all goes back to cartoons. All right, but yes, part 2, we had the 3 episodes that aired on Christmas, and opening up that moment of Mike running up and grabbing and hugging Will, just shouting, "He's a sorcerer!" Just, oh my God, pure emotion. I love that. I love seeing that his friend, that Mike saw what Will did, and just that look of awe that he gives him. Yeah. Just, it's pride, it's awe, it's just pure love for his best friend. And it's such a great moment. I
mean, a dude did just save their lives too. I mean, that was the moment, again, this is where he freezes them in place and they are like within inches of like ripping these kids' heads off. I mean, it's great to see him recognize how powerful Will is. So yeah, good stuff.
He believed in him.
He did.
So got that, and more that it's like he's more of a sorcerer than a wizard. Hell, even to the line in the episode, I think it's episode 7, where it's like they're talking about the abyss. It's like a realm of pure chaos. What? Dungeons and Dragons, and Hopper going, "Oh, for God's sake!"
Yeah, he was done with those D&D references. That's for sure.
That was just a great, just a terrific moment from Hopper. Just like, just fed up with all of the geek shit.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and talk, because I think my next note here that we haven't brought up yet is our little love triangle between Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve. Because I'll go ahead and ask you guys. I know I don't know, how much either of you are into shipping, but were either of you disappointed or relieved that Jonathan didn't end up proposing to Nancy? That, because we get in the first part, we see that he had Murray smuggled in that engagement ring for him. And it's fitting because Murray was the one who got those two together in season 2. Just like, wait, you two weren't sleeping together? Yeah. I think we said the same thing when we reviewed season 3, because Murray called out Joyce and Hop, just like, oh my God, will you two bang and get it over with?
Murray, love Dr. Murray is pretty funny.
Yeah.
That much. Yeah, I mean, I'll go first here as far as the shipping goes. So I think it's very real. I think a lot of people feel that they have only a few choices in life, and one of those is to marry somebody that they've been involved with for X amount of years. And then you start to realize that you got some stuff you got to work through for yourself. And you got to also understand that the person that you love has some stuff to work through as well before a big commitment like that can happen. And of course, in the setting of a melting building, which was very interesting. They finally have a heart-to-heart on top of on top of this table. And I didn't hate it. I know that I was very upset about the I don't know, pseudo shipping. I have no idea what you'd call it, but I know that when Jonathan in season 4 is all the way on the other side of the country and Nancy is hanging out with Steve, and there was definitely what felt like them trying to ship Nancy and Steve in season 4. I was not on board for that. And I said that on the podcast. But on, in season 5, them coming to grips with each other's problems and actually coming to the understanding that, okay, well, they don't need to get married because they still have to, there is stuff that they need to work on themselves. And as much as I would love to have seen them get together, ultimately they don't, right? I mean, they are not together by the end of this series, are they?
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, Nancy needed to be alone. Nancy needed to be on. She's very independent. And we didn't, and I think a lot of fans were happy to see, because in the end, in that epilogue, we find out that she actually has accepted an intern. I think like it's an internship or a part-time job for a newspaper. And she's on her way to becoming an official reporter, which is what she wanted. So, because I think a lot of people were saying, it's like, please don't have her like settle down and have kids. That's not what Nancy wants to do. And that's what Steve wanted. He says I can't even remember which season it is, the line about how he always pictured himself married and six little nuggets.
6 little nuggets. Right. It didn't bother me. Chris, what you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm in kind of the same boat. Like they, throughout the series, we see Nancy, she starts out with Steve. By the second season, through most of the series, she's with Jonathan. And like you said, they're heavily hinting in like season 4 and most of this season that like her and Steve are like on the track to get back together.
Right.
And I was kind of relieved that didn't happen. I mean, my brother married his high school girlfriend. They've been married for 30 years, but that's pretty rare. Like you don't.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
That's not normally, and with most of these relationships in this show, like, Joyce and Hopper end up together, and other than that, it's just Max and
Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas.
The Knight and the Zoomer.
Right.
I am so because they admit in the epilogue that they kept her as the Zoomer, the line that she made up, even though Mike was like, Zoomer's not a real D&D class. I am waiting for the official D&D campaign to come out saying that, yes, there is a Zoomer and Zoomer becoming an official class.
Would not surprise me one bit.
It has to. Come on.
Right. Well, so if we're going to be talking about shipping, I told my daughter that I needed to, I would say this. I didn't need to. She told me that I needed to. Let's try and put it that way. So Kira was firmly Byler. And she did not like the fact that Will and Mike did not get together. She said,
knows that Mike is straight, right?
She knows. I tried to explain, hey, look, what have we been conditioned to understand since the beginning of this series? It is Mike
with 11
and 11. So it was always that. I said, if they do anything to disrupt, well, I shouldn't say that because they sort of did. They weren't afraid of actually, kind of giving everybody the understanding that Will was in love with Mike. That was, I think, shown in the series for sure. Mm-hmm. But I think that if you did not, if you abandoned Mike and 11, I hate to say it, but it would have been a worse reaction than what we've got. It would have been really, really bad. Yeah. But I think so. That can kind of lead us into what happens in episode 7, where Will has to sit down with everybody and kind of explains, what his life is, and tells everybody that deep dark secret that he's been keeping. So I mean, Alexis, I'll let you lead that conversation.
He knows that Vecna uses his fears to control him. That is Vecna's power. He preys on that. Vecna knows the insecurity. He haunts your dreams. He knows how to bring that kind of stuff out. It's very Freddy Krueger-esque. And Will knows that there's only one way to take that power away from Vecna, and that's to come clean. And this happened. This is taking place in the 80s. I don't know if 1987 was when the HIV/AIDS crisis was going on or not, but
that was firmly. I know that was on the mind of a lot of people. At that point. So
yeah, I probably should have looked that up and done a little more research. I couldn't remember how far back it went, but coming out was just not something you really did. Back then, there was so much stigma against homosexuality, and he was really afraid. It's not like it is today at all. And I say that knowing that even nowadays it's still rough. I know that there are so many people out there who feel the same way Will did, who really think that if they come out of the closet because of the people in their family, because of their loved ones, because of whatever stigma they have around them, that they really feel that this will be the be-all, end-all end of their relationships. So their family will say, no, we don't want anything to do with you. Their friends will say, oh, we didn't know that. Hell, the fact that you look at Mike when he's talking about this, and there's a look on his face, and Mike has finally, it's like the light bulb just went off. Mike has finally realized that Will has been in love with him this whole time. It's like finally put two and two together, dude. Yeah. And there is that fear that Will has in his head. It's like, I tell him this and he's just like, oh God, no, go away. And yeah, Mike is straight and will never have feelings for Will in that way, but he tells him as they're climbing the tower, says, you're still my best friend, yeah
that's I feel like this was, a lot of people criticize the show because of this, because of what happened here.
This episode was review bombed like a freaking pre-James Gunn DC project. What I took away from this, I agree 100%. This is the 80s. This is a situation where, you didn't come out. If you had these feelings about somebody, you were staying in the closet unless you were in a comfortable group setting to where you felt well enough to divulge this information to other people who, you knew would not react in a negative way. And those were few and far between, especially friends and family. This is a large amount of people that are in the same room. I think that might be one of the things people kind of looked at like, I don't know about this, but regardless, these were people that he knew would accept him for who he is. And there's a lot to be said about what you're saying there, Alexis, where somebody is using your darkest fear, using that knowledge that they know against you. Now, granted, what he says is that he showed me a future where everybody was gone. Everybody just left me. All my friends were gone. And, but he made the decision to do this anyway, because it was who he was. But that's a real life situation. People use the knowledge of something like that. It would not surprise me one bit, that this was something that a lot of people faced. Hey, I know that you're gay. I'm going to tell everybody unless you do X, Y, Z, or unless, that's a real thing. And Vecna was using that against Will. And the only way to come out from under that, I've been in situations like that where people were going to, use something against me. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to give you that power.
You're not going to have that power anymore. So it worked for me. I mean, I know that it might have not seemed very realistic, but regardless, I think as far as the story goes, it made Will that much more of a powerful character for me. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, Chris.
Yeah, you guys pretty much covered it. I think it is a little bit disappointing for the character of Will, just that like he was sort of forced into the position by Vecna, like rather than doing it in a more like on his own terms and stuff.
Sure.
But he did still take control of the situation, so that's good. Yeah, I do know some people, like you said, Jesse, have pushed back on the fact that he gathered this big giant group of people together in what would maybe traditionally be more of an intimate situation. And maybe he would have just had like his closest friends, but that didn't really bother me. I did think just my only criticism, I thought the scene went on a little too long, considering the stakes that like the world was ending and everything. But it was
that was a fair criticism that they basically say, come on, we got to get going. Wait, no, I need to tell everyone this. It's like, okay, speech is great. No, the kid playing Will blew us all out of the water with his performance. He was incredible, well written. Everyone's reaction, oh my God, Jonathan and Robin's reactions, I think were actually the best because they were the only ones who knew. I mean, Robin obviously knew he was gay, and Jonathan, we have the scene in season 4 where he goes up to it, goes, whatever's going on. He knew, right? But he wasn't going to pressure him to come out. And just this look on their, this teary-eyed look of acceptance on their faces was so well done, But admittedly, I think that it would have been good if they didn't start off that scene with, hey, we've got to go like in 5 minutes or something. It's like, because then it's like, were we on a time crunch here? We have literally a ticking clock within a ticking clock.
To kind of throw that back to the previous episode, it is almost, you mentioned that there's another scene that does the same thing, and that is
Max and Holly's exit.
Max and Holly decide to have a podcast they decide to have a podcast while the rift is opening, so before they leave. That I don't know if you guys were yelling run, but I can tell you we were yelling run. Stop talking and run.
Admittedly, again, this could have been done so much better. I get that Holly couldn't go through the same opening. I understand that. It's like, no, she can't go through that because that's Max's exit to her body. Otherwise, you're going to get something probably like the movie Soul, and then Holly's going to have her soul trapped in a cat. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Great Pixar movie. So it's like, obviously this needs to be discussed, but at the same time, as they're going, Max, honey, I know you got to get this point across, but need I remind you what happened last time?
Go.
Like, it's not dramatic, but like, prepare her beforehand. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's an important speech. But there had to have been some other place they could have shoved that speech in other than, and now right before this, when there's a chance that the song could end again and this, it's like there had to have been another place they could have talked.
Yeah.
There was also in that scene, that was also the raptor scene, right? Where they were hiding in the laundry room.
That was the next episode. Okay. And if you're not crying when Max wakes up, you have no soul. I'm calling it right now. The scene of her waking up for the first time and with Lucas standing over her and he's practically crying. And you got Vicky with them, Robin's girlfriend, who's a candy striper, I love that just like 5 minutes prior, she thought Robin was on drugs. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, I see the Demogorgon. You're right. Let's run.
Yeah. I was wondering if she was going to get because she was definitely not believing their stuff for quite a bit there, especially in season. It was season 4 she was introduced, right? So yeah, she was, and it was kind of good to see her get, just shown exactly what the danger is. Always some fun. What else you got on your list there, Alexis?
Let's see here. Got that. Oh God, I can't believe I forgot to bring up the it's pronounced Frankenstein moment.
Oh, what was that?
They're basically shocking the Demogorgon back to life, so Will can connect with it psychically. They're doing that experiment where you hook the prongs into the frog, so you make the frog's legs jump.
Yes.
Like back in middle school.
Yes.
Yeah, and Mike actually says, "Okay, flip the switch, Frankenstein." She goes, "It's pronounced Frankenstein." I'm like, ha, Robin's a Mel Brooks fan. Love it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, wasn't a big thing, but yeah, I did make sure I write that note down. So, episode 7. But yeah, episode 7 ending again on a cliffhanger, and we all sat there at the end because we got the kids pulling into the upside, or the whole crew going into the upside down. I love that moment of them trying to get through the barrier and everything, and it's a rough drive. And I can't remember which character says, "I thought that was the easy part," or "I thought that was supposed to be the easy part," and Lucas goes, "It was."
Yeah.
And it cuts to Henry with the kids. They all get the wide eyes, and you hear that disturbing clock chime.
The clock.
That's that grandfather clock, and then that sound that we all know means we are royally screwed.
Yeah. Okay. We get a lot that happens in these 3 episodes, and just as we end these 3, I will say I didn't feel the excitement for sure like I did at the end of the first volume. And that might be on purpose. I have no idea, because I know that the finale's coming up after this, but I really feel like when we ended volume 2, I wanted something more than what we did. Them heading into battle, which, okay, fine. But would I have loved some kind of crazy cliffhanger that would have left us so excited for 6 days for what is going to happen. Instead, it was more like, it was pretty methodical. Like, okay, we've got to do this, 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 and this. And then now we're setting up, and it's time to roll into battle. Autobots roll out. I don't know. But that's kind of how I thought at the end before we got to the finale.
It certainly wasn't the cap off the first volume had.
Right.
Yeah.
With the sorcerer going crazy and killing.
Yeah.
In the worst. Now, did that lead? I'm trying to remember. Did the lead in to the to them heading to the upside down? Is that when they had to kill a bunch of the soldiers to make it to the gate? Is that how that played out?
I think so. Like, I know that there was a body count,
because I noticed, like, look, Nancy's awesome and she's basically the leader, but I was like, she's
badass Nancy.
Guys. She just killing soldiers left.
Yeah.
Soldiers that are about as useful as stormtroopers, by the way.
Again,
no kidding.
Right. Again, by the end of this series, that was one of those things where I had to be like, okay, I've got to disassociate myself from reality, because what should have happened is, okay, Hopper's back in the brig. Or whatever. He's been in prison for about 1.5 years, while the kids are, I don't know, maybe graduating in some lockdown. It was definitely like there was a body count, and I don't know if there was apt consequences by the end of this thing.
Probably not, because then the military would have to admit, oh yeah, by the way, all of this happened. If we understand, and if there's one thing we've learned from Stranger Things, it's that they want to sweep this under the rug and walk away saying this conversation never took place.
Right. That's true.
But yeah, that builds into the finale, and I don't know a single person on New Year's Eve who didn't find time before midnight to sit down and watch this. I can't believe that this isn't where Netflix crashed. We'll talk about the Netflix crash here in a bit, but I was seriously expecting Netflix just to be a nightmare to get through. I was like, nope, no problems. I'm watching this before midnight. And we get the finale. We see the conclusion of that Henry has been manipulated by the Mind Flayer all along, and that great little bit of Will reaching out to him psychically saying, you can leave this behind. You are not the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer is the one who's been pushing you this whole time. And Henry won't do it. He will not, separate. He's too far gone. And that moment of him saying, "We are one." And that climax, the climax that Marvel wishes they could write. Holy crap.
Yeah, I watching that documentary tonight, they showed 11 leaping into the air while our Mind Flayer monster here is just gaping maw, and it looks like it is going to either come down and just chop her in half, or she's going to fly right down the throat. Instead, she just opens a big part in its chest and then goes right in to face off with Henry. Yeah, I mean, again, Chris, you talked about going big. They went big here. They went big.
They did, and the big giant rock spider monster, very cool design.
I always assumed that was the Mind Flayer, that was the Mind Flayer made flesh, that he kind of cocooned himself into the rock or whatever the hell that stuff was.
That's kind of what my assumption was too. I don't know that it's ever been made perfectly clear one way or the other, but that's kind of what I figured as well. And I thought that sequence is very cool, where the problem I had with it is just like you're stretching my suspension of disbelief that they're shooting it with an AK-47 or whatever. Like, it's not going to even feel like, it's not even going to notice that.
Yeah, if the Demogorgons can shrug those off.
Yeah, they're trying to distract themselves. It's fine, it works well enough, but it's so huge, like it's not going to feel those rounds going through. But that sequence is very cool. Again, the fight with Vecna and or Henry and 11, a lot of holding your hand out and moving people around telekinetically or whatever. It works well enough. But the coolest part of the big climax, which actually happens halfway through the episode, to me was the big spider fight, and them trying to keep it distracted and stuff. That was all very cool.
I even love that you have the whole thing with Mike admitting he's jealous of Nancy having all the weapons, and he asks for a gun, and she gives him one, and they're like, "It's a flare gun." It's like, "You gave me a flare gun? What am I going to do with a flare gun?" Well, he and Lucas make it work with the Molotov cocktails. I'm like, "Ha, you got to use your flare gun." That was great.
And it also has what I've been waiting for, and I've been talking about all the episodes that we've discussed, and that is Nancy being able to go. I mean, she's leveled up almost every single season, got a better gun. And is it this one where she's like, they're like, who's going to be the bait? And she's like,
she doesn't even hesitate.
Not a hesitation. Final girl Nancy. So I was so excited.
She's gone on to become like a war correspondent or something. She's in the middle of North Korea, Syria, Iran. That girl is just gone. It's like, what was the line from Lois Lane in the Man of Steel? If I'm not wearing a flak jacket, I get writer's block or something. Like, that's freaking Nancy right there.
That would be Nancy.
And that moment of Dustin and Steve running underneath with the spear, shouting, "This is for Eddie!"
Yes.
The fact that they're using the same spears that Dustin and Eddie used in season 4, the same ones with the knives at the end. I think even they're wearing the same outfits, the same camouflage and the leather jacket.
Lucas even has his slingshot. He's using his slingshot that he's used all seasons, I think. And it might be a little bit upgraded version, but I believe he's dousing this thing with some type of flammable liquid while Mike sits there and, lets off the flares. I mean, this sequence had to have okay, we got to give everybody what they want. And I feel like they tried to deliver as best as they could. And I was perfectly pleased with what we got. This final fight that we got we had the Mind Flayer or Mind Flayer monster adjacent, whatever, and Vecna. The Vecna battle, I enjoyed, if 11 and him had to have the throwdown, it was going to happen. And it was interesting. We talked about there was an option, that they could have probably done where Vecna turned his back on the Mind Flayer. It felt like one of those situations where maybe our bad guy is going to have a moment of clarity and a redemptive moment in some way. He's been a pretty bad guy, going up to this, but if he wasn't in control, then maybe there's some hope here. Maybe there's a way for him to turn his back and actually take down the Mind Flayer and, do whatever he needs to do. But that's not the way we go.
Yeah, I was glad that didn't happen. I'll just be honest.
Then again, I think we all expected it, or at least a big portion expected something like that, and they were just like, "No, we're going to subvert expectations again." Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, that was pretty much it. Like I knew that that appeal when that was happening, I was just like, man, this is going to be kind of lame if if Vecna, joins up with the heroes and turns his back on them, like pulls a Kylo Ren or whatever, which was pretty lame when that happened too. But anyway, so yeah, I was glad that they didn't take that path.
Okay, all right.
I agree. I think in the end, we wanted to see the big bad be taken down by the heroes. And it was so fitting to see Joyce in the end with the axe that she used to break through the wall to get to Will in the first season. And that line, you fucked with the wrong family. All of the hell that she has gone watching her sons suffer, watching her, family, friends, watching everyone go through absolute hell for all these years. And she's the one that gets to deliver the killing blow.
Yeah, I'd have to double check and make sure this is correct. But I heard that they never dropped the F-bomb in the show up until that moment.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I cannot either because I feel like I remember hearing this from somebody, but I think this is they never dropped the F-bomb until right then. It's so funny because minutes, like I'm talking within a minute before Joyce has her moment, we see Joyce walking and Kira, my daughter, goes, "What have you done, Joyce? You haven't done anything. What are you even here for?"
Oh, well, here, let me take care of that for you.
And then 1 minute later, she has the axe, and then Kira goes, "Whoops, I take that back."
Statement withdrawn.
Yeah. She puts the, obviously it isn't just one whack, like, which they could have just done. They could have been like one chop, off goes the head. No, it takes some work to get his head off of his shoulders, and each one of those blows, it shows the pain that Vecna caused. And last thing I'll say about that, and you guys might have heard this, but did who was the actor again that played him? Jamie Campbell Bower. Yeah. So did you hear what he said Vecna was trying to say?
Something like "help me."
Yeah, like, or "please don't," something like that. But of course you can't hear that, or it's not audible at all. I
like to think in that last moment, the mind flayer power was gone, and Henry just realized, I have royally fucked up. It's like it's too late. You can't, go back now. You can't be saved. You made your bed. Now you get to die on it. Chop.
Yeah. Chris, any thoughts on Joyce getting the final blow in?
I thought it was appropriate. Winona Ryder was definitely the biggest name on the show when it started. Probably not anymore. I'm sure Millie Bobby has more Instagram followers than she does at this point. But I'm in a different camp. Like, I think the F-bomb, like, I had to concentrate from keeping my eyes from rolling all the way back.
Oh no!
It just seemed like
too cliche.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like it. Like, and I don't think there have been any more in the show. And I'm not like a prude. I don't care about language, and like, if it had been like Thor lopping off Thanos' head, that would have been one thing. But like the way she has to hack away, and like you said, it works. Like she's reliving all that pain he's inflicted on him and stuff.
Right.
But just like it was that scene, and also when 11 forced the soldier to shoot himself in the head,
Oh yeah.
earlier. It's like the bloodlust is like a little too visceral in those two scenes in particular for me. I just thought it was an odd, tonally odd. Again, like if it had been a little simpler, I think it would have worked better for me. It was still cool. Like I do think it was the right choice to have Joyce be the one to finish Vecna off and everything. I just found that those two scenes in particular, like a little more vicious than the characters have
Done in the past.
been in the past, yeah. And then they seem to be as characters.
Yeah, I could see that.
But again, they're in extreme situations. I get it. I know most people probably like that stuff. Just for me, I was kind of bumping up against.
We got to take it to the next level.
I just think it's funny because there were so many polls about who will get to kill Vecna, who's getting the final, and it was always a tie between Elle and Will. They were the ones that they thought would get to kill Vecna. It's like I don't think anyone saw Joyce as being the one to bring down the hammer at the end, but it was the right call. I think she was, because again, she's the one. It's like, okay, so yeah, her son was kidnapped in the first season. She had to watch the man she loved get pulled into another dimension and sent to a freaking Russian prison. She's had to watch her, just this absolute hell consume her friends, her family, her town. I think it's appropriate that she got the final blow.
100% agree.
Yeah, I would have just assumed Elle would be the one, but yeah,
right.
It was a nice changed. Well, not changed. Well, it was a nice subversion, I guess.
And I don't know. I think it would have been a little too cliche to have Elle kill him because, again, as you put it, would have been like, hand up, something like that. I preferred the actual physical chopping the head off. I didn't want to see it just like and hand up and scream and obliteration or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted more of a concrete, physical. He's
finality.
dead. Yeah. And that, of course, leads us into the end of that, which is them escaping the Upside Down. They got the timer up. Murray set the timer with the record, which I thought was really clever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some Prince playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we get back, and, of course, the military's there because, why wouldn't they be? But Elle knew this was going to happen. And she is staying behind, and she gives that speech to Mike as she talks to him psychically, saying exactly what Kali said. It has to end. The cycle of violence has to end with her. This is the only way. And I'll admit, I cried. I cried hard between her and Mike because they are both just screaming, please no. And it was so painful. Both actors were so amazing in that scene.
Yeah.
And we didn't want that. We knew it had to happen, but we knew in the end, you knew these two were not going to be able to end up together.
Right.
Elle would be hunted for the rest of her life. Mike could not be part of that.
Yeah. The only way that she could get away is, to possibly die. So that being said, did you know, or did you pick up on any clues as to what actually happened before Mike finally reveals things?
Actually, I'll admit I didn't.
You didn't? I don't think I did either until very close to it. Chris Armstrong, you smarter than me?
I doubt it. The manner in which she just sort of blew away, like you didn't see physically what happened to her, left it ambiguous a little bit, but I thought it was pretty clever the way they tied it back in with Mike telling the story later and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a plenty of debate on whether or not that is how things turned out or whatever. And I haven't heard anything interview-wise as far as the Duffer Brothers or whatever, but I'm just going to assume their intention is that Elle found her waterfalls or whatever. So
yeah. I am fine with both versions. Maybe she died in the Upside Down, maybe she didn't. But again, like I said, there was no way she and Mike could be together. Right. Elle was going to have to go back into hiding. If the government knew she was alive, they would be out there trying to harvest her and harvest her blood. And there was no way she could live a normal life.
Yeah.
She had to take off. And the scene of Mike talking with them over this D&D, the final D&D campaign, discussing the end, and it is so rough, and it's a happy ending in the end, but it is so rough to know that it's finally over with these characters. They put the books up. It's so symbolic. And as Mike walks up the stairs, Holly, Derek, and their friends run downstairs and start a new campaign, and it's the next generation of D&D players. It's them passing the torch, saying, okay, we're done with our story. It's time for your story now. It's so well done. But before we get to anything else with that, I got to talk about Dustin's valedictorian.
Oh, yeah. Right. Good stuff.
Because I am convinced that there are currently teachers making notes of who their valedictorians are going to be in the spring, and cornering them, saying, if you try to say anything related to or do what Dustin did, we will take your diploma. Just something. Just, oh my God. And I sent this to you, Jesse. He did exactly what Eddie said he was going to do when he got his diploma. Yeah. Eddie said, I'm going to walk across that stage, yank that diploma out of the principal's hands, and flip him the bird. And that's what Dustin, it's like he got to do it for Eddie. And I love that they cut back, and the people who are cheering the loudest are Steve and Dustin's mother.
Yeah.
Of all the people who are thrilled at what her son just did, it's like she is like, yes, oh, that's my son who just flipped off the principal. Oh my God.
Stick it to the man.
That. Yes, I loved it.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm watching him do the speech and I'm like, wow, he's really going for it here. What is going on? I was like, okay, all right. And then he flips in the bird and I'm like, wow, Dustin. Okay. So I have to have you and Facebook explain this to me later that, oh, wow, he did do exactly what Eddie said he was going to do. And so I didn't put that together while I was watching, and I was just like, oh boy, he's having a good time. He's ready to get the hell out of school. But yeah. I mean, it all the more fitting. And when you have that little puzzle piece and understand that's exactly what he's doing, it is a great and fantastic and well done tribute to one of the, my favorite character to come out of the Stranger Things mythos. So, yeah, that was good stuff. I liked it.
Yeah, I was in the same boat as you, Jesse, where I was like, this is a little weird.
Why is he doing this?
And then, somewhere on social media or somewhere I saw that, that was so that actually is perfect. So I just had kind of forgotten about that whole thing with Eddie having that plan for the first.
I mean, and what's funny is you look back at it, and that is a big speech that he gives in the cafeteria. And I just watched that season a couple months beforehand, and I forgot all about it. So
I know, right?
Right.
Love it. He pulls open the robe and he's got a new shirt on. It says Hellfire Lives. I want that shirt.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Real good stuff. Love it.
And the whole series ends with a D&D manual of these characters to David Bowie's Heroes, which I don't think we could have gotten a more perfect way to end the series.
Yeah. I mean, we had to end it. The way we got there was a little clunky in some people's eyes, but it had to be ended. And those final moments, as we close the series, I think were done very well. The conversation that Steve, Nancy, Jonathan, and oh my goodness, I lost her name. What is her name again? Maya Hawke's character, Robin, have on top of the school or where? No, it's on top of the radio station. Yeah. I mean, that right there. I saw a meme that was perfect. It was a picture of that, and below it said, everyone who is, has graduated or probably in their 30s or more know that all these plans that these guys were making, which was they're going to get together once a year and in some place geographically neutral so that they could, it's never going to happen. And nothing's truer than that. I mean, you have these friends that you had that went on this amazing adventure with, and you want to stay in touch. And unfortunately, as you grow into adults, the reality of that is probably you're going to run into a lot more obstacles to try and actually make that happen, which unfortunately will most likely make it not happen. So all these friends you had great intentions with, you shared a wonderful adventure. And I think it's Robin who says, I've got new friends now, but they aren't as cool. And really, I mean, that your childhood friends or friends that you made in high school, you miss them, and you may have intended to, stay in touch, but you didn't because adult happened, being an adult happened. It's sad. That's what, and I've got something I wrote up here as we end this. I'll touch on it again, but this show is about growing up and kind of how this final episode, it makes you realize how sad it is to grow up and not be a kid anymore. So that's kind of what I took out of this, as Mike goes up the stairs, and is the final shot the door closing to the basement, and then we go to, or do we have like kind of like the epilogue after?
And maybe.
What's that?
I think we see the kids in the basement again after.
Okay.
I've only seen it the once, so.
I think we see like what other people are doing in the future too. Like Mike is a writer, and Will finds somebody in a bar, if I remember correctly, and we get a little bit of an epilogue for some of these people, but and like you said, 11 finds her waterfalls. So anyway, growing up's hard, man. I mean, I don't know what else to put it, and watching this show makes me go, damn.
I'm a sucker for a coming of age, Stand By Me, Goonies, whatever. So that was definitely a big element of the early season. So it's appropriate they kind of cap it off in that manner.
Well, that does, however, bring us to what we've been talking about, and that is the fan outrage at this. Now, we talked previously about how episode 7 got review bombed because so many people just couldn't bear the fact that we stopped the story so a character could come out of the closet.
Yeah.
That's the way they put it. But now we have had people are just so upset about this ending. And there was a petition demanding that Netflix release an extended cut. There were rumors that a secret episode with the true ending was set to release on January 7th, and that's when Netflix crashed.
Gosh.
Apparently, a handful of fans are convinced that some of the dialogue, now this is what they're saying. I don't see it. If you're watching and if you're watching our review here and you have an idea of what they're talking about, please comment below because I don't get it. But they said that some of the epilogue, some of the dialogue that Mike gives talking about the final, what happened to all of them, was hinting that it was all a telepathic fabrication created by Vecna. Again, I don't get where they're getting that. But yeah, the fans were just outraged by the ending, and I don't understand why. It's like, okay, are you guys really that mad that Mike and Elle didn't end up together?
Yeah,
I genuinely do not get why fans were so upset.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't seen much as far as like fan reaction. I don't really know what more you could want, like necessarily. Like, are there maybe a few plot holes or whatever? Maybe like this is a pretty satisfactory ending. I think they pretty well stuck the landing. I'm easy to please, maybe, but yeah, I just don't like. It's not like Lost, and I loved Lost, and I don't even think the finale of Lost is as bad as a lot of people do. But even if you're not satisfied, like it's not the destination, it's the journey, right? Like if you enjoyed watching the show, maybe you don't get a complete satisfaction from the finale. I thought it was a really good, strong finale. I don't know what the specific complaints are about it, but yeah.
I'm right. Yeah, I just do not think that you can I don't think you can end this and please everybody. I just don't think that's possible. So the only thing I was sitting there thinking, like, what could you do to try and make everybody happy? Is it the fact that Elle and Mike aren't together? Is it the fact that, you wanted more of the upside down to be a possibility, and now we finally ended it? I don't know. I saw like the rumblings on social media about the super secret episode Conformity Gate or something like that. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm sitting there, I'm going, what? It's funny that people will manifest something like that. And in order to try to deal with the fact that this ended like they didn't want. So I don't know. As far as there is a lot of stuff that I read. As far as I didn't go digging, but it's not too hard to just turn to YouTube and find somebody complaining about how this sucked. This season 5 sucked. Well, it's a situation where people have to. I agree with you 100%, Chris. The thing that was going through my mind was Lost. As being, and Alexis, we mentioned this last season. How are they going to handle the ending? Are they going to fumble it? Is it going to be horrible? It wasn't horrible. The Lost season finale, I've experienced it twice. The first time was, not knowing what was going to happen. And the second time was like watching my kid react to the finale. And she hated it. And she come out of this finale for Stranger Things. She had her criticism. She had her qualms. I mean, Will and Mike weren't together. That was probably number one. But she come out of this, she was not upset like she was watching the Lost finale. So again, this is a situation where I think it is hard to write an ending and make sure everything. I wanted more. I'll tell you that much. Like, I don't think we got. And I feel like this should have went another couple episodes. There's that. I wanted one of the biggest things that I heard is like, where the hell are the Demogorgons? The Abyss.
Now, someone did complain why the Demogorgons didn't come to his aid, and I thought, I could be wrong, but I thought that's because the Demogorgons were limited to the Upside Down. I didn't think the Demogorgons existed in the Abyss.
Right. Well,
I was trying to think. It's like, I don't think we've ever seen. I think we've only ever seen Vecna and the Mind Flayer in the Abyss. I don't think the Demogorgons are from there.
Well, again, people are.
Do we even see any Demogorgons after Will kills a bunch of them?
I don't think so.
I mean,
he killed them all.
Oh, we have the ones attacking them in the hospital.
Okay, that's
okay.
Yeah,
all
going
right.
after Max.
Well, again, there are a lot of like things that you could be like, okay, we needed more of this. We needed more of this. But I felt like, again, 1 or 2 more episodes wouldn't have hurt things. What we got was satisfactory enough. Now I'll stop harping on it now, but I think that you can't just expect somebody to come through with a finale to something as big as this. This was 10 years in the making, 9-10 years in the making. And, to cap it off with a great and perfect ending, I think it's just going to be tough to do. It's going to be tough. And what we got was fine enough for me.
Yeah, I think, I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm working and stuff. So I hear a lot of, or I listen to a lot about TV and movies and stuff. And a lot of people who do podcasts are creative people. And I sometimes feel like people, and this goes for like the broader fan community, you get it in your idea of what's going to happen. Like you get your theories, and you're kind of writing the show in your head before it happens. It deviates from where you think it's going to go. Sometimes that creates, I think, bad reactions for people. So maybe if like, well, I thought it would be perfect if Will and Mike got together, or if Mike and Elle lived happily ever after. Like, and if it deviates from the way you would have done it, then it must not be good.
Right.
And Plus,
Yeah.
people online are shitty. Like, there's
Plain
that.
and simple.
Present company excluded.
Of course.
I will say this. I blame Zack Snyder for this.
Ah, you son of a gun.
We can
But-
always take it back to the Snyderverse.
You know,
Right.
see, that's my problem. It's this is the demand for the Snyder cut. Because when fans found out that there was a chance that they could get it, they launched this campaign. And that was how we got the Snyder cut of the Justice League. But you know, if you prefer the Snyder cut of the Justice League, that's your thing. That whole thing was
They
just
both
unfortunate.
suck.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
and I'm sorry. That whole plan was just horribly screwed over from them trying to rush way too hard to catch up with Marvel and what they had done with the Infinity Saga.
Mhm.
But it has led to fans now thinking that they can just petition and complain and get the studios to do whatever they want. The fans are now demanding it's like release an extended cut, and Netflix is going, there is no extended cut. We didn't film anything else. This isn't a case of, you know, where the, you know, it's like, well, you know, we have sometimes where they're like, well, we filmed like a couple of different endings and you'll never see what the real one is. Yeah. This isn't a case like, you know, we got a who's been following us. It's actually my friend Tommy saying, agreed, people see it in their heads ahead of the ending, and they do. And when it's not what they want, they really can't handle it.
Yeah.
But frankly, fans need. Look, I understand that you know, you're never going to please everyone, and I understand that fans deserve the right to say when they're not happy with an ending. They're not happy with an end with what has happened, because we need to know. You know, creators need to know when they have made something that doesn't hit well with others. They need to know, okay, so this isn't what you want. Well, okay, maybe I should try something differently. I'm not saying criticisms are bad or anything, but I do believe the fans need to stop with this crazy demanding that if they don't like something, that they can bully the studios into making it what they want.
Right. Yeah, we're a little ways from at some point we will have Joan is Awful, where we can sit there and proceed to give AI a direction so we can get our our favorite ending of a show. But we're not.
Oh God, we're about to have that scene from The Critic. We're about to have Duke Vision.
Don't be surprised.
I was going to say, Jesse, you were on oh my God, I'm blanking. You were on The Critics, review of The Critic. Talking about it's like, so here's the true ending of Casablanca, where Elsa jumps out of the parachute, and I was like, I don't want Red coming back to Scarlet. I want Deborah Winger and Bambi's mom to die. We are so close to that being a reality.
Yeah, and then nobody will have anything to gripe about, which will be great. I mean, as long as everybody gets their favorite ending, and put yourself in the show while you're at it.
Oh, great. Now we're going Futurama. Oh, look, it's Bender. He'll save us.
Perfect.
God, we are so screwed as a species. All right. I didn't have any more notes. You know, again, I'm sorry that there are so many fans who weren't happy with the ending. I wish I could understand better. I agree that there were some plot holes, and I agree that there was some pacing issues with, some of the placement of the speeches. They were good. They were good speeches, but maybe either start them off without feeling like you're on a limited amount of time, or don't do them when you have 5 seconds to get to the portal before it closes. I don't care which. But it was still great, and I still watched this on New Year's Eve, and I was emotional at the end of it. I love Tommy's comment. I'm out on Casablanca. Yeah, we all are too. And listening to David Bowie, watching the D&D manual with the characters, I was just holding my chest going, oh my God, this is so perfect. And I loved it. This show has been a part of my life for, like you said, Jesse, almost 10 years. And
right.
I am so happy that I got to be a part of it and watch these actors and these characters grow. And I love that I got to make Stranger Things jewelry, and I've got a charm bracelet, and I've got a Hellfire Club pin, and I'm making a Hellfire Lives necklace.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, I put my thoughts all together here earlier. So if you'll permit me a couple minutes, I won't take much of your time, but I would like to. This has been one of my favorite projects. So as far as podcasts go, Stranger Things was. I always wanted to discuss it, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to do so. So I want to definitely get across some of the feelings that I have on the series itself. So, Stranger Things, it came into my life in 2016, just like everybody else. I remember starting the show on my own, and I mentioned this in other podcasts, so please pardon me if I'm repeating myself, but I watched about 2 or 3 episodes, and then immediately I was captured by the vibe. There was the mystery, the tone, the atmosphere of what was going on, and it felt very special to me right away. Almost immediately, I knew I wanted to share it with my wife. Like, I had to bring her in on this. I was like, I'm stopping here. I'm starting over. We're going to watch this together. And at that time, my oldest child was 9. So Kira's 9 years old, Caleb's 6, and Colton is 2 going on 3. I don't even remember if we watched all of season 1 together. I know me and Mindy did, but I don't know if Kira got in here until like season 2. But by the end of season 2, when season 3 drops, it becomes a family thing. Like, all of us are watching. Even Colton, as he was little, he's watching it with us, and then that mattered to me because very early on, Stranger Things stopped being just a show I liked and became something that we as a family experienced together. The first season hit me hard, throwback to the 80s horror, the Spielberg energy, E.T. parallels with 11. That all worked for me. The show I think our first season takes place in 83. And personally, I was only like 5 then. But the cultural nods, that felt familiar in a way that was emotional rather than literal. And that mystery of the Demogorgon, the upside down, not knowing what the thing was or where it came from was, that was incredibly compelling. Following it all through the eyes of these kids made it even more powerful. I'll never forget how quickly the show became a cultural touchstone. I think I mentioned playing Pokemon Go and Stranger Things. For some reason, I associate those two in that first season. I don't know why, but it was happening. And more than anything, Stranger Things meant shared time with my family. We're not a family that travels much. We don't get out a whole lot. You guys, I know there's plenty of jokes that me and Mark have made about how I just kind of live in the basement. But, long car rides were something that we don't do. Patience kind of wears thin between, one of us in the family gets tired of the other one sometimes, if we're in close proximity for a long period of time. That kind of happens. But we can sit through a show and watch it. And, that's something that I learned not to take for granted because, that's time that we get to spend together. And knowing that all of us would be getting together, watching this, being excited about the same thing, watching it unfold in real time, that was rare and it was special. At its emotional core, the show has always been about friendship and family, about being young, about freedom, about facing fear with your friends, with them beside you. And in the beginning, it wasn't explicitly about growing up. At least that's not what I took it at the beginning. But over time, that's what it became. Trauma, fear, identity, loss, all of that slowly moved to the foreground. And the Duffer Brothers cared about their audience. You felt it in the relationships. Hopper and 11, Hopper and Joyce, Mike and 11. There was a real balance of horror and also heart. The show could be terrifying, but it never forgot why you were invested. The show ran for nearly a decade, not just in my life, in my family's life. And when it started, my kids were just a few years younger than the characters. By the end, we had all grown up together. People criticized the timeline that the show only covers about 5 years while taking 10 to make. And I get that. But what you do get is watching these kids become teenagers and teenagers become adults in real time. And that mirrors life in a way you don't exactly expect when a show begins. Now, watching this show with my kids kind of changed how I see them. There's something powerful about realizing your kids aren't just your kids. They're people with real emotions. They cry when characters die. They get scared. They get inspired. When Eddie died in season 4, I told you guys this. I watched that moment change my son. He cried, and then days later, he wanted to learn how to play guitar. And to me, that matters. That's something that I'll carry forever. There are so many little memories tied to this show, driving to pick up a present while listening to the soundtrack and my son lighting up when the theme played, binge watching season 3 over July 4th weekend in 2019. And as we were finishing that season, like maybe the last 2 episodes left to go, we had a crisis where there was a mouse running around the house, scaring my wife and daughter. I needed to catch that mouse, get it out of the house so we could finish the Battle of Starcourt. It had to happen, and I needed to do that in peace. Watching Max run from Vecna in season 4 as running up that hill, that song filled our home for weeks. By season 5, my daughter's in college. My middle child's a sophomore. My youngest is in 6th grade. We planned around these release dates for season 5. Thanksgiving mattered, Christmas mattered, making sure everyone was home, except for New Year's, of course. But I posted on Facebook how these were events. You know, that was what it felt like. Season 5 was an event for all of us where we all got together and it had that kind of, event feel to it. And so by the time season 5 comes to a close, I was very aware of how much had changed, how many lasts had happened in my life during these 9 to 10 years. The last time I picked up and held my sons, they're a little bit too big for that now. The last time, just a touch. One of them goes by Mongo. So, hey.
Santa Maria.
The last time I pushed a stroller, the last time I changed a diaper, the last time I sat and watched football with my buddies, the last time I watched a wrestling pay-per-view, the last time I talked to my dad who passed away in 2019, and the last time I visited my brother-in-law who passed in 2020. All of those lasts happened while Stranger Things was going on. And that awareness hangs over this final season in a way I don't think is accidental. For me, Stranger Things will always be about growing up, about adventure giving way to responsibility, and about realizing that some of the best things in your life end before you're ready. This show doesn't go down as a disappointment for me, not even close. The experience of this whole thing outweighs any flaw, and the memories will last forever for me and for my kids. And someday I hope they'll tell their kids about watching this show with their dad. And maybe they'll point them to the podcast as well. These kids from Hawkins may have grown up. My kids have grown up as well. But the kid in all of us is still there. And that's what Stranger Things gave me. Follow that up, Chris Armstrong.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I'm sorry. I already hear in the back of Chris's head saying, Jesse, you're a dick.
No,
when you publish it, you edit this in front of Jesse.
No, I sat there tonight, and honestly, I've never given that much effort for any TV party tonight. I'll just tell you that much right now. That's how much this show means to me. It means that much more that I got to talk about it with you guys, the finale and everything. So anyway, Armstrong, your final thoughts on season 5.
Yeah, like I did get on the ground floor of Stranger Things. I remember when the trailer dropped for the first season, and it's like, oh, it's like a Spielberg-y, kind of quasi kids horror thing. Looks pretty cool. And I watched the first couple episodes and liked it, but like it seemed like everybody was way more into it than I was. Like I just kind of liked the first couple episodes and finished the season in kind of the same mode. And then when the second season was about to drop, I rewatched the first, and I started to grow more attached to the characters. I started to like the show a lot more as time went on, and as the show carried through the next couple of seasons, to where it became one of my favorite shows and some of my favorite characters on television. And part of that is, like I said earlier, this is one of the few shows that like everybody has at least sampled, even if they're not a big fan. And it's one that everybody kind of talks about. And I thought after season 4, going into the final season, it was going to be tough to stick the landing, with the other shows that people think of like Lost. There are great finales. Breaking Bad, I think, is highly regarded, but it seems like the task was going to be too tall, maybe. So it was a little nerve-wracking going into the last season.
Yeah, I agree.
And I guess a lot of people don't like it for whatever reason. I thought the finale was strong. I thought the whole final season was strong, even though, like I said, I'm a bigger fan of the earlier seasons. Seasons 4 and 5 are still great, and I'm very happy with the way the Duffer Brothers brought it home, even if I felt that sometimes it got a little too unwieldy. Overall, I think it's seasons 1 through, it's basically 5 giant movies. You know, I do like the way they marketed the last few seasons as, you know, like Stranger Things 3, 4, and 5. I don't know if they did that with the second season, but they basically marketed them as big summer blockbusters every time a new season was about to drop, which was kind of the way it felt leading up to the release of each new season after the first couple. But that's pretty much all I got. I thought it was I was happy with the last season. I was happy with the way they ended it, and even if it's not perfect, again, it's not the destination, it's the journey. So I've loved going back and revisiting all these seasons multiple times, and I'm sure I'll watch this last season over again as well. So that's all I got.
All right. I think we've said everything that needs to be said. So go ahead and check out Stranger Things season 5 if you haven't. Just check out the whole series. It really is an incredible. We talked about this when we reviewed the first season, that this is a show that has something for everyone. We've got 80s pop culture references. We got horror. We got sci-fi. We got D&D. We got Amblin-esque entertainment. It's just an awesome show overall. And while there have been a couple little misfires, an episode here or there that probably could use a little fine tuning, maybe a couple speeches that probably could have been rewritten or re-edited, I think overall this has been a phenomenal show from start to finish. And I am going to put it up there with the shows that did not skimp on the ending, did not have a misfire, managed to avoid what we got with Upload and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. As far as shows, it's like, what the hell were you people thinking with that ending? So let's go ahead and move into plugs. Chris, where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at BrodyMan34, and I've got a movie podcast, a couple of them actually, with my friend AJ. One is Small Screeners, where we talk about direct-to-video and made-for-TV movies. And we got another one called Because Movies, where we just kind of talk about any movie stuff that we feel like can be found on your podcatcher of choice.
All right. Jesse, what about you? You want to tell us about your show?
Yeah. So the Source Material Comics podcast, we cover comics of just about any era. We've got 3 shows on there. The Source Material Comics podcast, which I think recently me and Mark did a discussion on Superman and the Authority. So you can check that out. I think that aired last Monday, maybe. So yeah, if you're into Superman in his waning years, that's a story that Grant Morrison wrote. You might want to check that out. Unspoken Issues, where we do 90s comics all the time. Chris Armstrong helps me out on that a lot. And our last aired episode was Darkness Batman. Came out in, I think, 99, if I remember correctly. Was that right?
Mm-hmm.
Was 99? So if you know about the Darkness, if you know about Batman, which I'm sure you do, it's a nice little crime tale. And, maybe Batman might be outclassed this time with a thing like the Darkness. You might have to check that out. So back in the heyday of some wonderful comic book crossovers. So check that out. And then, of course, the Marvel Snap podcast that Evan Bevins and myself do, called Snap Material. If you play Marvel Snap on your mobile device, me and Evan usually get together once a month and drop about 4 20-minute episodes. So we have a good time doing that. And once again, it was a blast having the opportunity to talk this. I'm glad Chris got on here and join us this time.
Absolutely. All right. And like I said, you've been trying to get away from me, but I've got you for one more show, Jesse, and that is next week. We're going to be talking It, Welcome to Derry. That's going to be you, me, Ben Cologne's going to be joining us. I am actually having him make some background art because if you follow Ben on social media, he's an amazing artist and he does what I believe he calls Sketchbook Saturday. And for the last couple weeks, he's actually been doing some really good Pennywise inspired pieces, which I am going to turn into our background because it's like, how often do we get to actually play with something really unique like that?
Very cool. Very cool.
So looking forward to talking about that. I sent you the text as like my first notes. Wow, turtles are lucky. Ha ha. What the hell was I thinking trying to eat while watch this? Third note, lamp in all capital letters. Lamp.
That'll be a fun discussion.
And it will be. So, and after that, we're currently working on getting the TV Party Tonight 2026 schedule put together. I do know that before the end of February, we're going to be looking at Fallout Season 2. I'm going to have Andrew Roscoe on for that. We're going to be taking a look at Percy Jackson Season 2. That's on Disney+. Going to be bringing in Sean Comer to discuss that with me. He's a fan of the books. So I'm glad to have somebody who actually knows the source material because, frankly, I read the first book. I haven't read any of the other books. So we got that. We've got so many shows I need to get on the schedule. I know a Night of the Seven Kingdoms either just started or it's about to start. I need to get that on there. So we got Wonder Man coming out. I need to get that on the schedule. Just, oh my God, I have to go look at the calendar and put a lot of stuff up there.
Oh, the schedule.
Yeah. So, and as far as the Honeysuckle Hustle.
Yeah.
Right. Honeysuckle Rose. Yeah, I try to avoid saying that around Mark because I know it cheeses him off. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We're on the downtime from conventions. We will be starting that back up at the end of March. We got Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City. And I'm excited about that because we're going to have guests like William Shatner, Jared Padalecki, Keith Urban, Keith David, and they just announced today Elijah Wood is going to be coming to this.
Wow. Wowzers.
Yeah, we're going to have Trekkies. We're going to have Hobbits. We're going to have big fans of the Helliverse because they got most of the cast of Hazbin Hotel coming. Wow. It's going to be insane. In the meantime, of course, we do have our online stores on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. I'm currently in the process of launching a Shopify store. I'm launching a third online store. What the hell is wrong with me? I will say this. We are actually right in the middle of adding a ton of new products onto both stores. We got, kind of cleaned out a lot of stuff after the holidays. So using this slightly slower time to get the stores restocked, put in some new pieces, bunch of new Monopoly and Clue jewelry, some of our new necklaces, couple of new earrings. So go ahead and follow us if you're a fan of funky, cool, unique, geeky jewelry. Follow us. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky Suck at Twitter, and TikTok. So again, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic. So thank you all for tuning in to listen to us talk about this tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And remember, Hellfire lives.